Hey guys, this is Andy and welcome to episode 3 of the Muscle Building Mastery podcast. I'm excited to have you here because today we're going to talk a little bit about marathon workouts versus sprint workouts. So these are the two different types of workouts that I perceive that people have, right? And there's one that people tend to go for more than others, and I think that they're making a mistake. So let me rewind a little bit and tell you a little story about how I've come to realize this and how it might be beneficial for you to learn from my mistakes, sort of thing. Okay, so if you watched or listened to episode 1 of this podcast, then you will know a little bit about where I came from, know a little bit about my sort of journey in the whole muscle building space and how I get started with my training and got started building my physique and all that kind of stuff. And so I just kind of want to pick up a little bit in the middle of that story about 2013 to 2014, which was like right at the start of my personal training career, right? So I'm filming this in February 2021, so this is like 7 to 8 years ago, okay? Best part of 10 years ago. So I'd been training for a little while, maybe a few months, maybe a year, and I'd made some progress in the gym, but like the size and the strength that I was chasing and the size and the strength that I knew I was capable of, somehow I just kind of knew that I was capable of more. I kind of envisioned what my physique could be, and it just wasn't there from the things that I was doing in the gym. And I kind of wanted to graduate it out of these medium-sized t-shirts into something a little bit more resembling large, right? I wanted to graduate out of the small and mediums into the large and the extra large. But what I really wanted was like the confidence that went with it. You know, the confidence to wear a large but a tight-fitting t-shirt, right? Whether it's in town or to the gym or wherever it was. I wanted not to have to wear the hoodies or the baggy clothes to disguise what I still felt was a pretty skinny physique. So that's what I wanted, and up until that point in my training career, I'd kind of swallowed this like mainstream belief that you had to just spend longer and longer and longer in the gym if you wanted to build any kind of appreciable muscle. Right, I thought you had to spend hours and hours and hours, and I thought if it wasn't working, you had to do it more, and you had to do longer, and you had to do this and this and this. And I can remember it was so daft. Like at certain points, I used to have like bragging contests with my mates about who trained for longer, and it was just ridiculous. This whole concept of you've got to do more, and it was like almost like virtuous, right? And so I ended up getting really, really fed up of not putting on this kind of size and strength that I felt I was capable of and that I really, really wanted. I knew it was something to do with the way that I was training, right? It was something to do with the way I was training. The problem was that I didn't know how to change my training. All I'd ever known was like high volume set after set after set, marathon style workouts. And I knew that I had to increase my strength. I knew that strength had to play a role, so I kept trying to lift heavier, but my strength wasn't budging because I was just doing so much. And I got to the point where I was like, is this as far as I can go naturally? Is this as far as I'm capable of progressing without taking drugs, without taking anabolic assistance? And I was like, I don't want to take drugs. I've never wanted to take drugs. So maybe this is as far as I can go naturally. That's where my thought process were. And maybe you guys have thought those kind of thoughts before, right? You've thought, oh my god, like maybe it's just because I'm not taking drugs, right? And maybe I can't, if I don't want to take drugs, maybe this is not for me. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know, like, if that's something you guys resonate with. So I was kind of thinking maybe it's not possible without taking drugs. But luckily for me, around that time, a friend of mine sent me a video. Just a YouTube video, just like this, or obviously some guys listen to the audio, but the guys that watch on YouTube, it was just a YouTube video like this, and it was a video of 90s UK bodybuilder Dorian Yates. So some of you guys might know who Dorian Yates is. If you don't worry about it. He was just this big mass monster from the 1990s, and he was like Mr. Olympia a million times, right? And what he said kind of blew my mind a little bit. He said that he used to flip that standardized training approach that I've just detailed for you of doing more and more and more and more sets on its head, right? He said that if you had the energy to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 workouts, 10 sets, sorry, on every single exercise you did, you weren't training hard enough. So let that sink in for a minute. So how many of you guys are going in the gym and doing 3 sets per exercise, 4 sets, 5 sets per exercise? How many of you guys are doing 10 sets per exercise? You know, because you think that, oh my god, I need to get in there and I need to just do more and more and more and more and cause more and more damage to the muscle, and then I'll grow. That's the mentality I used to have, and that's why I was like, holy shit. Hold on a minute, this big dude who I clearly need to listen to because he's a lot bigger than me is telling me my entire approach to training is wrong, so I need to listen up. So that's what got my attention, right? And instead of what Dorian used to do, instead of the traditional marathon, I'm calling it marathon workouts, right? Instead of these traditional marathon workouts, Dorian used to view his workouts as like a short series of sprints, right? So instead of one whole long marathon, a workout would be a sprint, and then another sprint, and then another sprint, right? So it was like a series of sprints. Whereas most people would hit, between 4 and 5 sets. I think most people are around the 4 to 5 set mark with each exercise. Most people hit 4 or 5 sets at like 50, 60% intensity. Now, you might think you hit it at higher intensity, but if you're doing 4 or 5 sets, like Dorian said, you ain't training hard enough. So there's no way you're doing more than 50 or 60% intensity per set. He boiled it down to one set, one single set. And doing that allowed him to channel all his energy, all his focus, all his motivation, all his drive into that one single set, which meant he wasn't like subconsciously saving the energy for the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the 7th set, right? Because whether you think you are or not, if you're doing 7 sets per exercise, you're going to be saving that energy because subconsciously you've got a lot to do, right? So that's what Dorian's approach was. He kind of flipped the whole thing in his head, and as you can imagine, that was like a bit of a game changer for me when I watched it. I was like, oh damn, right? This is a bit of a game changer. So I started implementing my version of this sort of lower volume approach, this series of short sprints into my own training, and I was like, wow, the results I got, both in my strength and my size, and everything I knew I was capable of, sort of came to me much faster than I was even like expecting. I started seeing massive results, and the approach I kind of took was not just the one set. I kind of boiled it to maybe a top set and a back off set, right? So it kind of and I've seen other people doing similar. I've seen like Trained by JP doing similar and people like that. But it was like a top set of like 5 to 8 reps, a back off set of 8 to 12 reps, and then you just log everything and you just go and you just beat your numbers week on week. And the results I got when I followed that series of short sprints approach versus a massive marathon that you've got to get to the end of was, it's laughable, right? The comparison of before and after, it's just ridiculous, right? Because the sprints approach just worked and the marathon approach just didn't, right? So that's just the thought I want to leave you guys with today is, are you approaching your workouts as a series of short sprints where you're channeling all your aggression, energy, and focusing on the quality of those small amount of sets that you're doing and making those quality go up? Or are you just compensating for poor training by adding more quantity? Because it's really quality versus quantity. That's the question we're addressing here. So I would have you sort of consider that if you want to build more muscle and strength and you want to do it quicker, get rid of the quantity as being the only variable that you think you need to increase in order to make that happen, and make the quality the deciding factor. So go for the short sprints as your workout, as Dorian Yates used to do, and that's kind of my version of his thing. He could probably explain it better, but go for the short sprints rather than the marathon, and you will see way better results. Take it from somebody who did, because I not only saw way better results myself, but all the clients that I've ever prescribed this to, all the training partners, all the friends, they've all seen exactly the same kind of results that I did when they just made that one little tweak. So hope that was useful, guys, and I'll see you next time for some more muscle building mastery.